How can an employer recover information I've erased? Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got. I just saw this article where a company did a forensic investigation of one of their employees' computers. How do they find searches and network activity if one clears their cookies and uses CCleaner? There is so much more to your computer, as well as your activity history, than just cookies and whatever tools like CCleaner can clean. So much more. Now, I'll review some of the more obvious ways employers can recover or collect information about your activity. I'm not doing this so that you can hide things better, but to honestly illustrate the futility of even trying. Cookies are small files left on your computer by the websites you visit. The contents of those files might not be useful, but their presence shows that your web browser has at some point visited that site. It's a way to see where you've been. Tools like CCleaner can easily and quickly clear cookies. These tools can also clear other traces of activity like your browser history, your temporary files, the contents of the browser's cache, and more. These things can all hold information about what you've been up to. I'll refer to them as the easy first step in removing traces of your activity, but they are not even close to being complete. Remember that deleting a file on your PC does not delete its contents. Unless you take steps to also overwrite the data, there's a possibility someone could recover and restore it. That's what undelete tools are all about, trying to recover deleted files. Clearing your cookies or history, or whatever else a data cleaning tool might remove, does nothing more than delete the files containing the information. There's still a chance that the files and the data they're in could still be undeleted. The only way to avoid this one is to overwrite the data after a delete. Now, CCleaner and similar tools have what's called a free space wipe, which overwrites all of the free space on your hard drive with random data, making it basically practically unrecoverable. That still may not be enough to erase all of your tracks. Don't forget backups. And no, I'm not talking about your backups, which of course you should have. I'm talking about your company's backups. In many corporate environments, the company will have some kind of a backup solution in place for all the equipment used there. Rather, they should. Now, that's great if something goes wrong and your computer dies or you lose something important. It's a safety net for both you and the company. But depending on how often the backups are created and how long they're kept, they're also a potential source of digital data coming back from the grave to haunt you. Even if you carefully and securely delete a file today, if it was on your PC prior to the most recent backup, well, yeah, it can still be recovered. There's also data that you're probably unaware of. Remember that Windows is an incredibly complex operating system, as are the applications that run on it. Programs store information in places you might not know about or in places you do know about, like, say, the registry, but really have no way to remove. Even so-called registry cleaners only remove or correct certain types of information and are more about the health of your system rather than removing evidence of your activities. For example, someone knowledgeable could analyze the paging or hibernation files to collect or infer information about what you've been up to. There's simply no way to know that there isn't some amount of evidence of your activities left somewhere. The only way to remove all evidence of activity from your computer is to erase it completely. Now, there are two approaches, using tools like dban to erase the hard disk or reinstall Windows from scratch, ensuring to do a reformat of the hard disk as part of the process, and a free space wipe when the install is complete. Both, unfortunately, are likely to act as kind of a warning sign to your employer. And even after all that, they might not still be enough. They might not need your computer at all. When we think about tracking and evidence of our activities, we immediately think of all the data that's stored on our devices. While I'm sure your company would love it if you left all your tracks on the machine, it's very possible that they just don't need them. Remember, they provide your internet connectivity and local networking. That means they can monitor where you go and what you do. They don't need access to your machine. All they need to do is monitor your online activity through the devices they already control. And I got to remind you, it's not your computer. When you use a computer provided to you by your employer, it is not your computer. In most jurisdictions, you don't have a right to privacy on workplace-provided equipment. The most obvious implication is that, your employer has the right to snoop on what you're doing by examining your computer or by monitoring your internet traffic. More concerningly, though, your employer could legally install spyware on your machine or interfere with the privacy implied by HTTPS secure websites. That means that even if you completely erase what's on your computer, they may already have collected information about your activity and sent it to their own servers for storage and analysis. It all boils down to trust. You may or may not trust your employer not to spy on you, but it's important to realize that they can. With motivation to do so, they could recover much of how you use their equipment. Similarly, they may or may not trust you to use their equipment according to their rules or guidelines. Once again, it's important to realize that they have ways of verifying their trust in you. Now, I can't say how much invasive spying or forensic analysis is common, and I certainly can't say how much is even ethical or justified. What I can say, though, is that it's possible. And that means that if you have any concerns at all, act as if your employer can monitor everything you do with their equipment. It is by far the safest thing to do. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/67556. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.